Now we review Saltburn. That sounds painful. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Richard, and I have seen one of the most aggressively English movies I have ever seen in my entire life. That is Saltburn. Before I get into that, let me of course remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I gotta do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. So, comment, like, and subscribe. Even if you have nothing to say, we're trying to save the world here. Now, Saltburn. Saltburn is essentially a movie about an incredible douche. Reminds me of my sister. Also reminds me of one of the closest friends I had at one point. He is an incredible douche, a chronic liar, and this movie kind of oozes sexuality. So there's this dude named Oliver, right? And Oliver goes to this preppy school probably because he's pretty smart. And, you know, he runs into this really, really rich dude who everybody puts on a show for. And the really rich dude says, "Why don't you spend the summer with me at my estate Saltburn, because I'm ridiculously rich, and when I find a person I want, I just sort of take them. You know, I adopt them. They become my biznatch." So, you know, it's hard to say things that are not spoilers with this movie, because this is a movie about deceit and lies and not looking beneath the surface. And it is an incredibly magnificent performance to me, but it is also an extremely slow and excruciating first half of the film. And it doesn't really pick up until the central climax, which happens almost at the end of what we would consider the second act. And then there's this final act of the film where the film happens. And it is this incredibly painful story. It just, to put it to you this way, this film has a character, I don't want to name the character because I would spoil someone, who is very much like my sister. My sister is a very greedy, lying person who lies to people in order to get things from them. She cozies up to people, she flirts with people, she does bad things. Kept trying to do those bad things to me, did those bad things to my old man, and now I'm suing her for, a lot of money because she tried to cut me out of my father's estate, and I'm battling that in court. So yeah, just, there are people like that in this movie, and, again, there's an aggressively English butler who's just wonderfully played. There's a gentleman who is a lord, and he's, again, aggressively English. And there are these moments, in this movie where it's like we're just trying to hold ourselves together, but it's all falling apart. And that's what happens with these movies, or with these characters, these narcissistic characters who hurt people. And I mean, it's like there's just one scene where they're all just having lunch and there are these terrible things happening around them, and it's very sad and very emotional, and they're just like, sit there and eat your damn lunch. We have to maintain some kind of semblance of, normality in this nightmare because we're nobles. And that's part of this movie. And of course, I'm going to mention it because everybody else mentions it. There's this infamous bathtub water drinking scene where this guy is drinking the bathtub water because he has such a great emotional interest in the other character, and you don't really understand that emotional interest to the very end. But yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of films that ooze sexuality but don't show sexuality, people being played and playing each other, and really some phenomenal acting, this film is a must-watch. However, understand that this is an art piece, and some people will find the things that happen in this film really upsetting. I mean, you know, there's a lot of homosexual tension. I mean, there's just so much. These two men should be banging, and the guy's like, "You're my friend. You're my friend. You should be with me." And it's obvious he wants to be with him, but he can't have him, so he doesn't have him. But we don't understand why. So there's that there, that kind of sexual tension that's going on, and all those sorts of things. So yes, this is an aggressively English movie with a lot of sexual fluidity, and not everyone's going to be in tune with that. This is not like Citizen Kane, where, okay, it's Citizen Kane. You know, anybody could watch that movie and enjoy it and understand it, and it's brilliantly shot. This is Saltburn, which is, some people will just be like, I can't deal with this, and they'll leave. You know, I do have to admit that when I watched this movie, I was like, that's going to happen. And then that happened. That's why that happened. And then that was why that happened. So to me, it seemed a little predictable, but then I've dealt with people like this. I have dealt with people that try to wriggle their way into your life, hook their claws into you, and never let you go. Okay, but I've moved past those people. So Saltburn, to me, this movie was probably very difficult to watch because it did hit very close to my personal experiences. I think this is an important movie to watch. So like I say, if you're a fan of good cinema and you don't mind really upsetting movies, definitely watch this movie. But understand that this is the kind of movie that has an R rating for a really good reason, and it's not language, although language is a factor, and it's not even sex, but sex is a factor. It is the fact that this is the kind of movie that it just happens to you. So yes, definitely a must-watch movie for you cinephiles. For those of you with weak stomachs, shy away from this. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I'm Richard. Greetings, folks. Fred the Facehugger here, reminding you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Because for every 1,000 subscribers, Random Street Theater here will pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. That's through the company 4Ocean. And why? Why do we pull trash out of the ocean? Because your world is dying. Care about your world, comment, like, and subscribe. It's not that hard.